My name is Stacy Lewis. I was born September 4th, 1973. I was born in Mississippi, Cleveland, Mississippi, and I had a pretty decent childhood. I was raised by mom and pops, my mom and my father. Early in my life, like when I was in elementary, I used to write with my right hand, but you know, my mother and father, I couldn't just take off school due to my sisters, my siblings, um, which I have seven of them. We didn't have the money to pay for daycare or anything like that, so I had to learn to write with my left hand. So I'm left-handed now, so it shows a little resilience. But I also realized when I was in elementary that I was a little faster, a little taller than the other kids, so I figured out I was athletic. I had a pretty decent education. Once I got into junior high, which is the seventh and eighth grade, um, I I started playing sports. I started playing football and baseball. Um, I was pretty good at both sports. Uh, More so baseball than I was football because I could pitch. I could pitch. I could play a lot of different positions, and um, you know, and had a pretty good. I didn't really like English, but I enjoyed math. When I was once I got into elementary, because I had a pretty good math teacher, somebody my father knew, and English was really boring to me. But my mother tutored me a lot with English and helped me get through, that phase of my life. When I turned 14, when I entered the ninth grade, I was introduced to uh, weed and alcohol, and I started drinking. It was around 13, 14 years old. I started drinking beer and smoking weed, and I was drinking on the weekends or when I had the money to. I used to stand behind the liquor store, and I used to see older people walking in on the liquor store. I wasn't old enough to buy the alcohol, but I used to give them the money plus a little bit extra money to go and buy me alcohol and cigarettes. I used to hang out with my brother. He's only about a year and 4 months older than me. I used to hang out with him a lot. And he and I and another friend of mine, we used to drink and smoke cigarettes and smoke marijuana together. We mostly did it on the weekend, though. I kind of enjoyed the weed smoking and the drinking of the alcohol. Really didn't drink that much, but because they didn't take that much. I guess due to my youth and my tolerance at that time. But the weed used to have me high and kind of paranoid. Okay, and one day uh, I was at I think I was at a senior in high school. I was turning in a test, and my social studies teacher, she grabbed, I was turning the test, I was putting it on her desk, and she grabbed my hand, and I had a burnt mark here and a burnt mark there from smoking a joint. We just rolled it up in joints, and she just grabbed my arm like around my wrist, and she looked at my fingers, and she shook her head. She said I really, she was one of my favorite teachers. She said, "I'm really disappointed in you, Stacy. Uh, I don't think you should, be smoking weed." She was like, "And also, I know your mom, and I'm gonna give her a call and let her know that I saw your fingers like that." Um, so she did. She called my mom, told my mom, but I was also disappointed myself. So I stopped smoking weed and continued to drink alcohol. By that time, me and my friend and my brother, the three of us, we drank a lot. I had time to drink after football practice. It started to get a little. I started drinking more and more, and more on the weekends. I just drink a lot more on the weekends. From my 11th grade year and my 12th grade year in high school. I kind of struggled with my grades at the time, but I did just enough to get by. Just enough to just barely get by. Okay, I graduated um, from high school in 1991, um, and I had a choice. My parents, either you go to college, work, or you got to get out of their house. So I tried going to college. I didn't get a scholarship for baseball, but I tried out. Um, um, I started going to college. I went to it's a community college. It's Moorhead Community College. It's in Mississippi, and I played 1 year of baseball. I didn't go out for the football team, but the coach was so hard on me because I was pretty talented. And I forgot I left out that I was MVP in baseball my senior year in high school. Won this big old tall trophy. But anyway, he knew I was better than, you know, what I didn't really work hard because the only thing I ever thought about was getting out of practice, getting done with school and rushing to the alcohol. I started drinking basically every day or every other day, and didn't really like it because he was real hard on me, and he didn't give me a lot of playing time because I didn't put in the work to be a starter. So after a year of that, I just say, school is not for me. Didn't really have a lot of guidance. Didn't really have a lot of support, when I was in school, because my parents they wasn't, into sports a lot. So, uh, my grandfather spent more time, at my games than my dad and my mom. So, and he was older, and he didn't really like being up, especially football, or baseball. A lot of times he played games at night, and he just didn't have the time or that time of day. He's early sleeper and an early riser. But anyway, I continued to drink. So after that year of college, I moved in '92. I moved to 1992. I moved to Indianapolis. I moved in with my sister, and I got a. She told me right off the jump when I first got there in the house. She said, "You got 30 days to get a job and to get out of my house." You know, meaning that I had to get my own place. So I found a job, and I started working for this company called Local Athletics. It was a sport apparel company, and I worked in the embroidery department. Around this time, I worked third shift, so my drinking it kind of cut down on my drinking because I slept all. They worked me pretty hard there. They I worked from 11 in at night to 7 o'clock in the morning. So basically, I slept all day. I didn't really have time to drink at that time. And after about working there, after about 2 years, I got this girl pregnant with my daughter. My daughter, she's 28, and I didn't want a child at the time because I was too young, and my mom demanded a lot of time, so I just went back to the alcohol. I dealt with the alcohol to cope with, try to cover up, my emotions, my feelings, or whatever. Um, and also my job moved me from third shift to first shift. Um, so basically, what I did was I basically went to work uh, from 7 in the morning to 3 o'clock, and from 3 o'clock until 10, 11 o'clock at night, I used to drink. I didn't drink every day, but I did drink mostly. Mostly every day. Um, Denied my child, and after about a year of being in denial, I finally gave in, and I started spending time with my daughter, and got to know her a little bit, And so I moved out of my sister's house, moved my own place, started spending time with my daughter. Things was looking pretty good. Life was fine. Really slowed down on drinking because I didn't want to drink around my daughter. And and I started dating this other girl. She went to school. She went to college. So I was going to see her. So I had to work, deal with my daughter, well, spend time with my daughter, spend time with my daughter, spend time with my new girlfriend. But her mom stayed on my butt. My daughter's mom stayed on me about, spending time with my daughter. She wanted me to spend more time with my daughter. So it had a little pressure, but I just left alcohol alone completely. Um, so I went through that for years, well, for a few years, few more years. And one of my parents got sick. My mother got sick, and my father, he wasn't in really good health. So what I did, I left Indianapolis and moved back to Mississippi um, to stay with them. Um, well, wasn't really drinking that much at that time, so I moved in the house with them, and it really took a lot out of me because at that time I had got used to staying by myself and doing whatever I wanted to do when I wanted to do. But in their house, you had to have structure. So I got a job with another sporting apparel company, but they sold Greek apparel, and I did the embroidery there. The thing that I learned that logo at my job in Indianapolis. So I was my own boss, but I worked inside of a store. Um, at this time, I had to leave my daughter in Indianapolis, and I started to not see her as much, and it started in the job that I took on demanding a lot of my time. I had to work late at nights, and they'll close the store down. I'll be over my own little department, trying to keep up with the workload I had endured, and it became really stressful. And I started drinking, you know, at work when the store was closed, but I was over there. I started to drink at work at night, and by this time I had met this other lady. I started dating her, and she asked me would I move in with her and stuff like that, get out your parents' house, which was right around the corner from where my parents lived. So we dated for a while. Then I moved in with her, and still had the job. She kind of slowed me down on the drinking, um, so I worked the job. In the relationship, everything's going fine with my life. I had the car, house, the dog, and everything. I started taking trips to see my daughter, and stuff like that, which was, I had to drive to Indianapolis, either drive to Indianapolis or take a flight. But I started going to the air at least once or twice a month to see her. And I worked there for about 4 or 5 years, and that particular business had a fire, and they closed the store part down, and I had the option to either get unemployment or start my own business. So the owner came to me. He was like, "Look, you can have everything over there in your department," which I was a one-man wrecking crew. "You can have everything over there in your department, and there's a space down the way. I can have a guy to come in today, and you can rent a space down there." He said, "I helped you much as I could, and you can open up your own spot." So he kind of coached me through everything. And I opened my own business up. We called it Stacy's Embroidery. Um, he taught the guy that gave me the business. He taught me a lot. Plus, by that time, my customer base had got so big inside of his business, I was able to take it and move it to my own. So the my workload did not decrease. It's actually increasing because it's a little small. Cleveland, Mississippi is where my business were. That's where I worked. It was in a college town, and all his customers rallied around me because they wanted to see a young man, do his own thing, and that kind of inspired me. But the workload was so hectic, and by me being so young, um, it just it took its toll, and I started drinking back up again. I was drinking every single day, all day, every day, all day. Even on the weekends. The business, it was overwhelming, really overwhelming. But I consider myself a functional alcoholic at that time. I still was able to take care of my business. I never drank, when I was taking care of my business. I always drink after, after hours. I sit in the store and I hired a couple of guys. We sit in the back of the store and drink. And I started going home to my girlfriend at the time, going home, and she was always on me about why you be drinking that, after hours after you close your store and stuff like that. I had got accustomed to doing that at the other business that I worked for that burned down. So um, I had the two guys. I completely get out the way. The store was up. My store, my business. The store was up front. I had them working up front, and my office was in the back. So it got to the point to where I wasn't used to money. I mean, I was buying new cars and stuff like that. I always kept what I needed to have in the bank. I always kept that money in my pocket. It wasn't anything for me to walk around with three or four, five, six, $7,000 in my pocket. And I was sitting in the back. I was counting my money. I was put money in like a little small safe. I was keep money there, and I was sitting back there just taking on a lot of different jobs. I was my own accountant. I was my own, you know, I did everything myself in the back. And didn't have time to do the embroidery. So I sit back in the back and drink beer all day and take care of my business. Unless I had meetings or somewhere I had to go to bid on a job, I didn't drink it then. So, but the business kind of went up in flames after about, I say about 2 or 3 years. I had to close my doors due to taxes. I wasn't paying my taxes. I wasn't keeping up with nothing like that. Um, I just didn't take care of my business, and around the same time, I broke up with the girl that I was staying with. So I had to move back around the corner with my mom's, and I didn't really want to do that. Even though I was going over there every day, taking care of them or helping taking care of them, it just I didn't want to do it. So um, once the business closed, uh, broke over with her, broke over with my girlfriend. Um, I went and stayed in a hotel room about a week, and I was just drowning in my sorrow. I just drink all day. Order pizza, just sit and drink all the time. And my mom, I never forget, she called my cell phone. She was like, "I know what happened between you and that girl, and I know you had to close your business down because I drove by there today. Me and your father." She said she was on the way to the doctor, and she said, "I saw your lights off." She said, uh, "What you do, close?" I told her, I said, "Yes, ma'am, I closed. Closed the business down." And she was like, "Well, you can come on back home and, try to figure out what you're going to do." So after a little while, I moved back to Indianapolis, Indiana, closer to my daughter. And I was there about a couple months. I got a job at Amazon.com, and I worked as a problem solving specialist, and pretty good job, paying good. I got to know a lot of good people. They knew me. I'm easygoing, but I always drink after I got off work. And this one particular day, I got this phone call. Uh, my older sister had passed away. Hurt real bad because me and my older sister, she stayed in Buffalo, New York. Hurt pretty because she and I, we was pretty close. And well, dealing with her grief, my drinking escalated just a little bit more. I didn't know how to grieve. I didn't know anything about how to grieve, how to process it. So I just turned to the alcohol. Drowning in my sorrow. Um, she passed away. She passed away in May of that year. Um, by the time I got over her death, in December of the same year, my father passed away, and that really hurt. So I didn't know I really haven't grieved my sister's death, not my father, and now my mom. My mom and father have been together for years, so now I had to turn my attention to my mom. So I really didn't have time to grieve about my father or my sister. So now I turn my attention to my mom. Okay, to make things worse, she passed away the following year in February, just months after my father passed. And oh man, that was a really big one. It hurt so bad to where, my alcohol use it really got out of control. Uh, so I got everything up. I was like trying to figure out what I'm gonna do when that happened. So what I did, I moved to Dayton, Ohio. I moved here, where I am now, and still it was 3 days back to back to back. Still grieving. I really started drinking. Lost my job at Amazon.com. My distance. My daughter started showing resentment towards me. Um, by that time, I had a granddaughter and a grandson. She didn't want to. She didn't want me. She didn't want them to see me, or she didn't want to see me in the state I was in because I always stayed drunk. Okay. Um, moved back to Indianapolis, and months later, I uh, I moved to Dayton, Ohio, and I wasn't here in Dayton, no time. And I got a phone call. They said one of my sisters told me that my oldest brother had passed away. So now I'm numb. It was 4 days back to back to back to back to back. My alcohol use was already it had already escalated to where I'm not gonna say my life was unmanageable, but it started becoming unmanageable. And I said at his funeral, and I couldn't even cry no more. I was just numb. It was really overwhelming. So went back down to Mississippi and buried him, and I came back here today, and years and years go by. I'm going through denial. I can say at least 8 years go by. I'm from job to job to job to job. I'm losing jobs, all because, come to find out, it's due to my drinking. But I kept denying, jobs like, look, we can send you, get you some help. We'll pay for it. It's on us. You're a good guy, you're a hard worker. We don't want to see you. So I'm denying, no, I'm okay. I'm fine. I don't need no help. You know what I'm saying? I'm just going through something right now. That's the excuse I gave him. So I was missing work, late for work. And, a lot of those jobs like, look, we can't do it. We need to all we can do. So we got to let you go. So the last job I got, it was like about 5 years ago. It was a pretty good job. I was supervisor at this company. It's a logistics company. We dealt with Toyota parts, everything from the sunroof to radios. But I was supervisor. I managed, about 20, 25 guys, depending on, what time of year. And I was dealing with those guys, and it was me, and then you had upper management. I had the business running pretty good, even though I was drinking. I wasn't drinking when when I first started that job. I wasn't drinking before I went to work or doing work. But upper management had so much pressure on me to make the guys below me to do stuff that they didn't want to do. But everything was going fine. But it got to the point to where you know they had put so much pressure on me to where I couldn't just do those guys like that because we was working, we was hard workers. So I really started drinking. I had to wake. I was waking up in the morning, and if I didn't have a beer on my nightstand, it had to be some in the refrigerator. So I get up, drink a couple of beers. I really didn't really drink much liquor. I only maybe drink a little liquor, but it was mostly beer. I mean, it got up to like at that time I was drinking probably a case or case and a half of beer a day. You know. But anyway, I ended up getting fired from that job, and I started getting unemployment, and that's when my life really came unmanageable. You tell me I worked all these years on my own business, and you can tell me I can sit home and get paid and drink all day and you know try to process this grief, all this stuff I've been through, you know, didn't know how to, you know, rekindle my relationship with my daughter. I didn't know how to get that back. So I just sat at home every day and collected unemployment. I used to, like, well, I don't have to go anywhere but to the grocery store, take care of little business and come back home. So I was cool with that. So I was on unemployment. I sat at home and I isolated myself from everything. It's total isolation. I'm isolated. So I sat at home every day, listened to music and barbecue, did what I wanted to do, and my life became unmanageable. I got kicked out of my apartment because of unemployment. It ran out eventually. So, and I was trying to manipulate and do all I could to try to keep that place. Lying to my landlord about when I'm gonna pay my rent. Just a lot of lying. I know generally I'm an honest guy. Normally I try to be honest with people and tell them what's going on, but I still denied that I had a problem. So the guy got tired of me lying to him, and so he went on and had me evicted. So once I evicted, they threw all my stuff out on the curb, and I had to go to the men's shelter because I had nowhere to go. So I got the men's shelter and uh, slowed down on the drinking. I still drink every day. I still drink a lot, and I managed to get a little job, a little small job, just so I can feed that addiction, feed that disease I had. I didn't know it was a disease then, but I know now. Um, I got the homeless shelter. One day I left the homeless shelter, um, headed to work, headed to my job. I was on pins and needles at that job anyway, because I can only be late or sneeze too loud. They was gonna fire me anyway because I was on my final warning as far as like getting fired. At that point, I really didn't care because I knew I was gonna be late because sometimes the alcohol just was telling me my disease was telling me, oh, you don't need that job. You good. You don't have to pay no money at that shelter. You don't have to. You can just stay at the shelter and you know, stay free, eat free, get 3 meals in a cot, and you don't have to worry about it. So one day I was on my way to work, and I went up to the gas station to grab me a beer before I went to that job, and I ran across this guy. I've been knowing him all my life, and heard some things about him and stuff like that. And he was like, "Won't you come stay with me?" He said, "I can look in your eyes, tell you something's wrong with you." He knew my mom and stuff too, and so he was like, you can work for me." And I told him the situation about the job on my final warning and stuff like that. He said, "Well, I can use you. I can work with you, man." He was like, "Let's go down to the shelter and get all your stuff." He said, "You can stay on the other side of my house." He said, "I don't think one thing about at my house, you can't drink at my house." He said because uh, Yeah, I think about 15 years. Sobriety, he was clean and sober. You know, he was an alcoholic himself. He said, you can't bring alcohol down to my house, but you can stay on the other side. He said, you're going to have food, clothing, you know, you take care of yourself, you're a man. So I said, okay. He took me down to the shelter. I got all my stuff and moved to the other side of his house. Um, you know, he was basically like, he was my pops. He was like my second father. And so I started working with him and stuff, and you know, taking care of stuff for him, picking up. He owned rental houses, and he also did. He used to buy rental houses, and you know, we'll go in and do a demolition and clean it up. We did everything from the plumbing, you know, to the roofing. And you know, he had a lot of pressure on me. You know, I was drinking every day, but I just didn't take it to his house. So I'll go to the park, and I'll go over some friends' house, and I did my drinking there after I got off work with him. But I'm still held on to. I still held on. I'm still holding on to that grief. I never really got past from grieving. You know, my one of my family members, and you know, and one day I got really, 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 really sick, and he came to the other side of the house. He was like, "What's the matter, man?" Because normally I'm up early in the morning. I'd be on the porch. I used to sneak and pull my beer in like a water bottle and hide my beer and all that kind of stuff, hiding the stuff so he won't see it at his house. Well, he could see it anyway. He knew because he used to drink himself. He was like, "What's the matter?" I said, "I don't feel that well." He was like, "It's not like you. Normally, you get up, you go and do what you have to do. You get up and go to work." I said, "No, something ain't right today." I said, "I just don't feel good." So I went to stand up. I got real dizzy and stuff. And, you know, my stomach hurt. And I was throwing up and everything. I tried to eat or drink. I had a beer sitting right next to me. And he was like, "Man, I told you don't drink here." He said, "But no, we're not going to even worry about that." He said, "I see you. I look out the window and see you out there drinking." He said, "Well, let's take care of this." So he took me to the emergency room. And they did all kinds of tests and stuff. And the doctor came back in there. He was like, he said, "Mr. Lewis," he was like, you got a spot on your liver. You got cirrhosis." He said, "You got a spot on your liver about the size of you could say a bow dollar or a golf ball." He was like, you know, I think you." He said, you're a grown man." He said, "I can't tell you what to do." He was like, but he said it could be 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. And he explained how the liver works. You know, he said the liver like a sponge. Once it get hard, it's like a sponge. The sponge is worthless. He was like, you know, he said, "Me personally, I would stop drinking." So I left there and left the hospital. They released me, gave me all this stuff, medication and stuff. And so I went back home. And about a week, I started back drinking again. You know, started back drinking. You know, pops gave me some days off. Said, "Just come back when you get ready." I was like, "Okay, I'll let you know." And this one night I was laying in bed. It was like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. Couldn't even sleep. I'm tossing and turning. You know, I'm looking for the alcohol, and didn't have none in the house. So they didn't want to get up and go to the store because they didn't sell alcohol. It was after hours. So I lay there and prayed, and I was just looking at the ceiling, you know, and tears just running down my face. And I was like, you know what? I need to be treated. I need to go somewhere to an inpatient and get treated. So I knew about this place. It's called Woodhaven. It's a treatment center. It's here in Dayton, Ohio. So I went to the other side of the house and told pops. I said, "Look, I need you to drop me off somewhere." He was like, "Well, today's job, we got to go over there in this house and put a shower surround in the bathroom." I said, "Nah, I ain't going there." He was like, "Well, where you going then?" I was like, "I need you to take me to the rehab center, the treatment center, to get checked in. I had already called him that morning, and he was like, normally it takes him about an hour, hour and a half. He's 81 years old. Take him a while to get to get himself ready to go. He'll come out to the truck. Usually, he'll leave his phone in the house, leave his glasses, and leave the keys in the house. I had to use my keys to get in. This morning, it didn't take him but 5 minutes to to get out to the truck. He was like, "You got all your stuff?" I had a black trash bag, which the treatment center told me when I called him that morning. Told me that you only bring so much stuff. You can bring a couple pairs of shoes and etc. So I had everything, and he drove me to the treatment center, and I surrendered. I was just like, when I walked through those doors, it seemed like the world lifted off my shoulders, and I put everything behind me. So I get in the treatment center. It takes about 3 hours for them to check you in. And I was just sitting there. I didn't know what to expect. It took me up to the detox, what they call it, detox area is what they call phase one, where they detox you. They put you on tapers and stuff. They give you drug tests, AIDS tests. They run a lot of tests on you. And I let them know I gave them all my paperwork as far as the cirrhosis on my liver and stuff. So I detoxed for I think about 14, no, it was 19 days, about 19 days. And I had to go to group. And the first day I walked in the group, it's a group of people, we're in this small room. I was like, I walked in the door and I turned to walk back out the door. And I said, what in the heck? These drunks, I had to wear a drunk or addict or whatever you call them, gonna teach me how not to drink. So I was a little, concerned about that. So I started going into a group, and got to know my peers, the guys, and I come to find out they had problems. A lot of their stories that it can relate to mine, and some stuff I've been through, they was going through. Some was about the same as mine. We had the same issues. We had the same problems. So after that 19 days, I moved to what they call phase two, which is they call residential. Yeah, it's a little bit. It's not detox anymore. After you leave detox, it's like, uh, you're no longer dependent on alcohol, all the shakes and tremors and all that. I had that really bad when I got the detox. I mean, I couldn't even hold my head. Couldn't even stop my head from shaking. I couldn't even sign my name on the forms they had me when I first went into the admissions and get in the treatment center. So I went to phase two. I was better. I wasn't really dependent on alcohol. But in phase two, the counselors and the groups, it got a little bit more in depth. They had to go deep down the side. It was something that was bothering me that triggered me drinking, and I had to process it. And come to find out, like to reiterate what I said earlier, it was the death, me not being able to grieve properly or not knowing how to grieve. And I got really in depth. Found out a lot of stuff about myself when I was there. And once you leave phase two, you go to phase. Okay, it goes one. I'm trying to see one. Yeah, phase one, phase two. You go to phase three. It calls PHP, and there you get a little bit more rope. You get to use the foam. You get ready. Start to get you ready to come back out to the outside world. Right? Okay. When I was in that phase, I found out I had this girl pregnant, and she was gonna have my baby July 20th, and it was around July the 5th when she told me all this. Kind of threw everything in on the telephone, and it was really overwhelming. It almost made me leave, because I wanted to, leave there and be there for my son. But she had the child July 20th, and I had a choice to make: either go out, leave rehab, and go out. You know, and possibly drink or whatever again. So I decided to stick and stay. So I stick and stayed at that treatment center, and you know, she had the child and stuff, and so I stick and stayed until I graduated from that treatment center, and that was I graduated. I got there that treatment center June 14th, and I graduated that treatment center. It was last Tuesday. Today is the 14th, so on the 7th, which this is September the 7th. This is the day I left that treatment center. I got this little dog chain certificate, and I got some really good, you know, really good treat. I got treated really well. I got good counseling and stuff. I finally got to the root of my problem. I had to do my own autobiography in there. I had to do a lot of stuff. I started going to outside meetings when I was in that phase, and I got a chance to uh, get introduced to that's where I am now, Good Shepherd Ministries. They used to pick us up from the treatment center, and I knew some pretty solid guys over at that treatment center. I mean, over at that sober house is what it called. It's called sober living. It's where you stay and you work, you do different stuff, and you also go to meetings, and it's just a group of guys. We look out for each other, and I'm here now, and I only been here since the 7th. So on the 8th, and that day is 14th, so it's a week exactly today. But I've been sober, clean and sober 91 days today, and I feel great. I'm in the sober living with Good Shepherd Ministries. Everything's good. I wake up in the morning. I remember dreams from when I was a little bitty boy, when I was in my addiction, when I was in that storm. I'm still not alive yet. I still got to recover. But I'm still going through recovery. I got still steps in, but I take it one day at a time. I got to take it one day at a time to stop that drinking. But I'm at a sober living home. I got 3 guys I live with. They're good guys. We cook. I love like I said, from the South. I love cooking. And Good Shepherd, they starting to. I could have went home, but I'm going back to old people, old places. I could have went back to the other side of Pop's house and stayed there. And, by me being early in my recovery, I figured that wasn't the right thing to do. So I went to Good Shepherd. And it's pretty good here. I'm really learning more. I got to go through my 12 steps. I got a sponsor. We also have an in-house sponsor there at Good Shepherd. The guy who ran it, he's a pretty good guy. Sean Trapp, he's a good guy, and I'm just happy right now, clean and sober, man. I take it one day at a time. I have meetings to go to. We get to go on retreats. We get to go to a lot of different stuff. Camping and kayak trips. I haven't went on one of those yet. Well, I'm not gonna get on no kayak, whatever, or anything dealing with going on the water, because if it's not a cup of water, I can't drink it. I'm not going out there because I can't swim. But I feel great today, man, and I would like to thank you guys for listening to my story. It's been a journey. I'm still early in my recovery. I still got work to do. I just need to take it one day at a time. So, thank you.